Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Am I retired? It's a weird question. I say I retired a little over a year ago because I left a 60-hour-a-week job where I was the company president of a truck driving school with 5 campuses and 60 staff. And my goal with my content and my social media is to reach out to people who are trapped in the rat race and teach you that there is another way. I think the average individual can reach financial freedom and make work completely optional and retire in less than 10 years, even if you're not starting in the best position. And when I'm in the one rental at a time group or the BiggerPockets group and I talk about owning, I had 16 rentals. I just closed on a duplex. So now I have 18 units that take me a little under 2 hours a month to self-manage. And I also comment in the Choose FI groups or the other financial independence retire early community groups where it's primarily stocks and real estate is almost not accepted in that community. I'm currently in Montreal, I think. It's a place in Canada, and on my way to a 10-day cruise in the Mediterranean. When I come back, my plan is to go to Thailand for somewhere between a month and 3. I'm going to have to come back in February because Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time finally locked in the building and announced the date of February 17th and 18th for the One Rental at a Time real estate event in Vegas, which I will be going to and speaking at. Looking forward to meeting some of you there. But with tenants and real estate, can a person be retired? When I compare it to 60 hours a week, while I had 16 rental units, losing the W-2 to me is retired. But in that financial independence retire early community, most people say, well, you can get a call at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and need to grab a plunger and go into somebody's bathroom because you have tenants. And you might have to go through an eviction, or you might have a tenant turnover, or you might have something that takes up your time. And if you're looking at, if you have to do something to earn your money, are you retired? I think under a strict definition, it's possible that I would almost agree that we're not retired if we own rentals and never have to work a W-2 where we have a boss. But I'm looking at it from the aspect of the math of time. Learning the skill to self-manage your rentals is going to take a lot more time than actually managing your rentals. Putting those systems in place. I don't recommend investing at a distance in self-managing and learning how to do it in a new market. But if you're like Millennial Mike and you're investing at a distance, you can have a property manager. So at most, it's an hour or 2 a month to make sure rents are paid, to make decisions that the property manager reaches out to you for. And that financial freedom that comes from the property manager managing things is, I would think, by some people's definition, less work than learning the systems to manage the properties yourself. Once you know how to do that and you have those systems in place, it's actually, in my opinion, easier than having a property manager. One of the systems that I have is communicating with tenants, making sure that they know when they should be able to get a hold of me, when I want a text message or an email, when it actually includes those 3 words that I would justify a phone call, and it's okay if I'm their second phone call, that if the tenant's going to communicate with me about something that would be including the words fire, flood, or blood, right? Educate your tenants on when it's okay to reach out to you to actually take your time to communicate. The rest of the time should be done through text or email. Once you have some handymen, 2 or 3, that you've hired for projects and they have a good customer service presence, so your tenants are going to get along with them. I actually have my handyman handle almost everything with the tenants, unless it's going to go over the threshold of a $500 repair or need to purchase something like an appliance. Then the handyman will reach out to me. So much so that I'll go 2 or 3 months sometimes without actually communicating with a tenant about anything, until maybe it's time to ask if they want to renew their lease, maybe use the binder strategy to get the rent increase next year at the tenant's request. But even that, on a bad month where I've had 2 or 3 water heaters go out or refrigerators go out, which seems to all happen at the same time, I might go maybe 3.5 hours on that month, but then have those months where the only thing I actually did with my rentals was maybe 30 minutes to log into the accounts to make sure that the rent was there, which doesn't really need to be done, but part of it is, yes, you want to make sure you're collecting the rents, but the second part is it's kind of the most exciting week of the month, that first week, when your bank account plays vertical pong with the rents coming in, mortgage going out, rents coming in, and I end up with about $17,000 more in my account than I had the week before, to then figure out the rest of the month on how to spend it. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I do live streams, and I wasn't actually sure I was going to be able to do one today. I have this layover in Montreal, which again, sounds like a real place, before we head off to Athens for the 10-day cruise, which I'm not sure I'll do Mediterranean again. I'll know for sure after this one. I enjoyed the Alaska one. I spent a month and a half in Portugal this year. And so my message is to those people that invest in stocks or crypto or another asset class that doesn't have tenants, and you don't have to deal with, tenants, toilets, and termites, where you might think you can't be retired if you have something to deal with. How much time does it take to take care of your portfolio for you to consider yourself not retired if you have to do something to watch your money? For me, 2 hours a month is a lot better than 60 hours a week for almost exactly the same amount of income. Now I'm going to look in just in case there's any questions here. I normally don't answer questions on my phone because I'm not that good at it, but I'm hoping people can take that to heart, that if you retire with rentals, one of the key things is figuring out how to put those systems in place to minimize your time, to make sure you're not out spending a lot of time on your properties. When we're new, some of us will go, if I fix it myself, I'm going to save money. But if you take time to fix it yourself, are you even motivated to add more units to your portfolio? If you can manage 7, do you want to do the flooring and the paint and the lawn care all yourself? Would you want 16? Since I got my systems in place, I was actually looking forward to having somewhere between 10 and 20 units that produce 4 times the amount of cash flow that I need, so that I never have to worry about rents coming in or not. Because literally, rents could drop by 50%, or half my tenants could not pay their rent, and I still don't have to go back to work. And systems in place, I've actually not had one late or missing rent payment in a decade. To me, that's retired. Let me know what you think. Is somebody in my position who can travel anywhere they want because everything with your real estate portfolio can be handled through text or email, who has the money that they're trying to figure out how to spend, is that person retired? Howdy, everybody. Good to see you here. I have a few more minutes before they're going to announce boarding, which I think is done in French here first. That's one of the only languages I haven't tried to learn. Good water and books, yes. You have to have the beverage cart when you're on the plane. See you in Vegas, Josh. Look forward to it. Good afternoon, Dion and everyone. Got my ORAT ticket for Vegas. Awesome wealth building journey. Look forward to seeing you there. I know we've met on Zoom a couple times, but look forward to meeting you in person. That management learning curve is where Matt's course comes in if one wants to drop the curve. I totally agree. I posted a rental for a friend of mine, and I think I made the mistake of looking at it from an investor. You know, what matters to me? How many bedrooms? How many? All of the things that we're looking for when we buy a property. And I took Matt's information on how to list my friend's rental and almost quadrupled the demand on the next weekend by actually knowing how to do this in a faster method. Cody Evers, howdy. Looking forward to Vegas. Athens is where we start. I'm not sure where we go. I know we go to Nice, a couple other places. The Yoder, howdy. I hope you are enjoying your trip. You are not retired. You have transitioned into freedom to do what you want, when you want. The rest of us are slaving the W-2 on the big man. For now, right? The goal is to get you to where you have the problem of where are you going to go? What are you going to do? How are you going to figure out how to spend money? Which sounds douchey to say, but it's a real thing. If you spend the 5 to 10 years that it takes to save and invest the difference between your income and your expenses, and you have that discipline to actually reach financial freedom, it's kind of hard to flip the switch to start spending that money. Angel R. Dion, the water heater replacement. Do you send your handyman or a licensed plumber? So you want to vet your handyman to make sure that they either have subs, if it's anything to do with plumbing that takes a permit, or electricity. I have a handyman who has a sub that's an electrician. So the handyman can do most things, but when it comes to anything in the panel or anything that would require actual electrician skills, he brings in his sub. I have a handyman who was a plumber. So this is a licensed handyman with the plumbing license attached. So he's almost like his own sub. So for a handyman to replace a water heater, I would want to know my local rules and regulations to know if they're allowed to. If they have the skill to do it, sure, because I could do a water heater replacement. Make sure that it's up to code. You want to strap it. You want to put in your expansion tank, all the other things that can be required in your area. So when we say handyman, often a lot of us think of the person with the pickup that can fix cabinet doors. But I've had handymen who used to run a construction company and did full garage builds on properties for 10 years and then decided, no, I just want to do the easier jobs to have some source of income. So you can have different handymen with different skills, and you want to know what they do, what they don't do, and what they don't like to do. One of the things I like to do to keep my handyman around is find out, I have one that doesn't mind doing LVP flooring, but he hates carpet. Something about carpet bothers him. I don't know if it's allergies or something, so I don't hire him for carpet jobs. So literally I've had him put in LVP at a place, bring in another person to put the carpet on the stairs. So don't hire them for things that they don't want to do unless you really need to, and then you overcompensate them for it. But I also take small jobs that I could do myself. You know, go and make a screen for a window or go and replace a ceiling fan, super easy things. And I'll hire the handyman and make sure that they're paid and make sure that they know that this is an easier job, that I'm not only going to hire them for the ones that suck. It makes it a lot easier to convince them to crawl into the crawl space where Dion doesn't like to go because of the spiders. Wealth building journey. You're retired only in case you want to be retired. That's very accurate. I like that because the goal is to make work optional. Bill O'Connell, howdy. Have fun at your job on your boat cruise. That's another good way to put it. I like that. Chenda, how did you save enough cash to buy 18 rental properties in 10 years? I guess house hacking is the key, right? Not really. It helped because I wasn't making a lot of money. When I first started investing, I was making $17 an hour. Played World of Warcraft to make $300 to $500 a month in extra income selling things in the game to save. The first 2 years I house hacked, which allowed me to add that that $1,200 a month that my housing costs dropped to that investing fund. So if you're making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, because I was $20,000, $30,000 more a year than I was making, I think you could do it without house hacking. It's not a requirement. It just helps if you're not making a lot of money. If you're making more than the national average, which is something like $54,000 or $57,000 a year, I think 10 years is reasonable because the down payment depending on where you're at, right? If you're investing in Sacramento, Fresno, there's a big difference. That's why Michael Zuber invested 2.5 hours away. He could save the down payment in 6 months or a year instead of 5 years. Millennial Mike lives close to Seattle, but not in Seattle. He's not stupid. And he house hacked his duplex. So the high cost of living area, he used house hack for the low down payment, better interest rate, but then he's investing at a distance. So I still think it's totally possible in 10 years, even if you don't house hack. If you make less than $50,000 a year, I would almost say it's a requirement, but nothing is required. It would take 15 years or 20 years if you don't house hack, if you're making that small of an amount of money, which is where I was for the first 5 years of my investing. I didn't start to actually make good money at the truck driving school until the last 3 or 4 years. Once I'd reached financial freedom, I don't know if my compensation changed because they were like, maybe this will keep them around. It did for 4 years because I liked the job more than the money, actually. But time freedom, actually,